My boyfriend took my virginity while I was drunk. I, F20, and my boyfriend, M21, have been together for a year now. Yesterday we went out with some of his friends and we were drinking. At the end of the night I was way drunker than he was. He was able to drive and he even said that he didn't feel drunk at all, and I was so very clear about me being drunk. Well, after that we went to his house to leave the alcohol there, and then I was going to go to my place, since he knew I had to be home a little earlier yesterday. Well, I laid down on the sofa because I was feeling dizzy and he started to take his clothes off. He did ask me if he could take his underwear off and I said yes. He then went down on me. Okay, now to the issue. I'm a virgin and my virginity means a lot to me. We talked in the past about how I wanted my first time to be special and I wanted to be completely sure, since I knew a lot of girls regret it and I didn't want that to happen to me. Sometimes in the car he would try to put it in, and every time I was like, I don't want to be like this, and he agreed, and he would also say that of course we would have to use protection and all that. Well, yesterday we was trying again. Me being drunk and not protection whatsoever. It was hurting like hell and I was like, stop it, it hurts too much, and he told me I had to just endure it eventually. The previous days he thought that I was ready or whatever, but I was not. He said that he would be gentle, but just like the other days I thought it would no go in. Then something popped and I started bleeding and I immediately started crying. He then proceeded to tell me that I didn't have to worry, that he wanted to spend the rest of his life with me and that it would be okay. I told him that I wasn't ready and that I didn't want it to be that way, and he started crying too. We went to the car, both crying, and arrived home in silence. I tried to console him but I was drunk and couldn't do much. He says he's very sorry and I know he's probably been crying all day just like I have, but I regret everything so much and I feel like a very special moment has been stolen from me and what to do. How can I remain with him after this? Sexual thing are taboo for me, but he always pressures me. He would ask for me to do him a hand job or blowjob, and when I say no repeatedly he would jokingly insist and I always give in. I don't think any of our sexual encounters has been any different than that. I don't know what to do. I don't think I can break up with him. I tried in the past because of some other issues, but it seems like I never can go through with it. Why? My wife and I still bang like horny chimpanzees after 10 years of marriage. We have 2 kids and we're happily married for 10 years and we still have a healthy sex life. We have sex at least 1 to 2 times a week. Still in love with each other more than ever. I didn't know this was uncommon, but I was surprised reading a lot of stories on many relationship or marriage subs, and most couples after being married for a long time or having kids started to have sex a few times a year or once a year or once every few years or only on special occasions, B-Day, V-Day, anniversaries. My late ex's dad wants to have a face-to-face conversation with me. I'm scared he wants to hurt me, or worse. For context, my 28F ex, 32F, died of an overdose while we were living together. We both at the time were heavily abusing benzos and alcohol. I was also using oxys but hiding it from her. I later found out the oxy I'd been sold had actually been fake pills containing a fentanyl analog. Without my knowledge she'd found my stash and taken one of the pills. By the time she died, I'd already passed out, and when I woke up she'd already been gone several hours. This was over a year ago now. I attended her funeral and her family knew the circumstances around her passing. The one family member not in attendance was her father, who she'd been estranged from most of her life. I'd thought that chapter of my life was over. Until a few days ago when the father found me on Facebook, commenting on a picture of me with my new partner. I messaged him and he told me I had some explaining to do. He accused me of leaving her to die and not calling an ambulance. I explained the situation. He then proceeded to ask me a lot of questions about that night and I answered them truthfully. He then told me he wants to have a face-to-face with me. I asked what he wanted to talk about and he refused to tell me or give up any information other than that he'd be traveling to me in a few weeks after arranging something with his associates. I know he most likely just wants closure and I don't want to deny him that, but I can't help but feel afraid. The fact he refuses to divulge any details about what he actually wants to talk about and that he apparently blames me for her death makes me constantly overthink this. Is my husband using his weekly poker nights as an excuse to meet his secret boyfriend? My husband, Jake, 35M, and I, 33F, have been married for 7 years, and I love him deeply. He's a surgeon, and on most Tuesday nights, he heads out for poker games with the boys, colleagues from the hospital. But lately, I have been noticing some odd behavior on his part that make me question the authenticity of these poker nights. It all started 6 months ago when I decided to surprise him with a packed dinner on one of his poker nights. Who doesn't love a homemade meal while they gamble? What I saw, or rather didn't see, when I got to his friend's house, where the poker games are supposedly held, was concerning. The lights were off, and there were no signs of any poker game happening. Jake was nowhere to be seen, and our common friends had no idea about any poker night. From that day, I began to keep track of his schedule more closely. I noticed that during these poker nights, he would turn off his cell phone, something he never does because of his profession. At their conclusion, he would often stagger home way past midnight, reeking of alcohol. He also started taking more care of his looks. He'd started working out, got a new haircut, and his wardrobe had become noticeably chic. One day, I decided to casually talk to him about it. But as soon as I mentioned it, he got overly defensive, even accusing me of being controlling. That was the first time in 7 years I had seen him react so aggressively. Jake had always been an open book. Why was he suddenly an impenetrable fortress? Odd, right? Now the kicker. As I was dusting our room, a guest receipt for a city boutique hotel fell out from Jake's jacket. The date on the receipt? Last Tuesday. The same Tuesday he was supposedly out at his poker game. What he was doing in a hotel while I was under the impression that he was playing cards is beyond me. Believe me, I don't want to assume the worst. But a chance encounter with one of Jake's colleagues at the grocery store made my heart drop. The colleague let slip that Jake had been spending a lot of time with his new resident, Tom. I admit I snooped on Tom's Facebook profile, only to find a picture of Jake and Tom at a fancy restaurant, dated Tuesday. These circumstances made me question my husband's loyalty. Could he be romantically involved with Tom? Is he using his so-called poker nights as a cover to meet Tom? My heart says no, but the evidence is stacking up against him. I'm in a dilemma because I don't want to confront him without being sure, nor do I want to break my marriage apart at a mere suspicion. I need help, advice, and if anyone has been in a similar situation, your inputs can lend me some courage. And please, serious feedback only. I am so lost right now. Don't bedshare. What the fuck am I supposed to do? I'm losing it. This baby won't sleep. She is 3 months old and has never slept without being held. When she was 5 days old she laid awake, screaming, for 5 hours because I couldn't pick her up. That's not fucking normal. I am so tired. I can't catch a break. My boyfriend dipped out at week 3 because he was so tired he crashed his car. Now I'm trying to take him to court for child support and I'm so tired I don't even remember my own fucking name. I quit my job because I was screwing too much up. I cannot tell you how many times I've fallen asleep holding her. Last week when I woke up she was wedged between me and the couch cushion. So, after that, I decided to start bed sharing intentionally. She's sleeping. Fucking finally this goddamn baby is sleeping and I can sleep too. But oh no. My mother can't have that, can she? No, bed sharing kills babies, don't you know? It's dangerous. So what am I supposed to do? What, actually and so genuinely, am I supposed to fucking do? So I'm bed sharing in secret. Which means I'm still barely sleeping but at least this poor baby isn't awake for hours at a time when she isn't supposed to be. I'm holding on by a thread. I needed to tell someone about this before I lost it. Is my baby just fucking unreal?